Whoa, is today what I think it is? Is it Monday? Is it Tuesday? Is it Thursday? No. Is it Friday? No, today is Wednesday. So you know what that means? It's time for art. So get your pencils, get a piece of paper, get some markers, and let's get ready for art today. Woo! Hey, my friends.
Good morning, my friends.
Today is our last art class of 2020. It's been a crazy, fun year. I hope you've been enjoying all our art projects, and I hope that we can finish off the year with a bang. So let's get ready to start. Today, we're going to do a project drawing and coloring a landscape, right? A landscape drawing. What's a landscape? A landscape is a picture, an image, or a drawing of scenery. So when you think of landscape, you might think of walking in the park and seeing trees and hills and the sky and the sun and nature. Or maybe if you're walking in the city and you're seeing tall buildings and cars and traffic lights, right? Those are landscapes. Even if you're in your classroom, in your school, your landscape is the scenery around you. So maybe chairs or chalkboards or the walls. Those are landscapes. So landscapes is a drawing of the scenery around you. So before we start, we're going to watch a quick video explaining landscapes and explaining the different parts of a landscape. We're going to talk about the horizon line, foreground, midground, and background. And then after we're done, we're going to start our project drawing our own winter landscape. Let's begin in 3, 2, 1. Let's go!
Hi friends, today I'm going to be talking to you a little bit about landscape. Landscape should be review for most of you, but I have made a check sheet for us to help remember the different parts of the landscape. The first part we're going to focus on is the horizon line. The horizon line shows us the difference between the sky and the ground. When you draw your horizon line, it should be pretty close to the top because we want to leave plenty of room for the ground. You have the option that you could have a nice straight ground, or you could make it look bumpy like hills, or maybe pointed like mountains. For me, I think I'm going to do bumpy so that it kind of looks like hills way far in the distance. So there we go. I've got my horizon line showing the difference between the sky and the ground, so I'm going to check that off. The next part of it says the foreground. Now the foreground is the stuff at the front of the paper. So that's going to be the things that are closest to you. Because they are close to you, they are going to have really big sizes for the objects that are in the foreground. So for example, let's say I wanted to draw a flower in my foreground. I'm going to draw that flower nice and big. So here's the center of my flower. I'm adding some petals around it. I've got my stem, and then I've got a nice leaf here at the bottom. If this is my foreground, it is close to the bottom of my paper and it's nice and large in size. So I can check that off of our sheet. The next part of it then, the middle ground, takes place in the middle of the paper. So the foreground's in the front, the middle ground's in the middle. This is a little bit farther away from us, so the size has to change and it has to get a little bit smaller. So just to keep things similar, I'm going to do another flower, but I'm going to have it higher up on my paper and I'm going to make it just a little bit smaller so that it's more of a medium-sized flower instead of a large one like in the foreground. There we go. So the foreground in the front and big, the middle ground is in the middle and a little bit smaller, more of a medium size. I can check that one off. Finally, we've got the background. The background is the furthest away from us. So it's not going to be at the bottom. It's not going to be in the middle. It's going to be towards the top, but still on the ground. So not quite in the sky there. The things that are in the background should be really, really small. So if I'm doing another flower to show the difference, I would want a tiny flower because then it really looks like it's far away from us. anything that you add in your picture then has to be similar to these sizes. So for example, if I'm going to have something down here at the bottom, it needs to be really large like my flower is. Or if it's in the middle ground, it needs to be medium size. If it's in the background, it's going to be really, really tiny. Let's say, just so you can see it again, I want to add some birds to my picture. If it's down at the bottom, this bird has to be nice and big. So I'm going to draw nice big wings here. It's going to have an eye. I can see where the beak would be. Here's a tail. I've got little feet for it. But then if I wanted to have one in the middle ground, it needs to be a little bit smaller, more of a medium size. So it's still got its wings. Here we've got the body, an eye. Still got some legs for it. And again, if I wanted to show something way off in the background, it's going to have to be tiny in comparison. Now this is all talking about the ground. We haven't really talked about the sky too much. After you work on adding lots of things to your foreground, middle ground, and background, you can also do things in the sky, like maybe you wanted to add clouds. Maybe you wanted to have a sun or a moon, depending on what time of day it is. Maybe you can see an airplane or a hot air balloon somewhere in your sky. It's up to you what you add in your picture, but I definitely encourage you to think about what size and where on your picture it should go. Be creative and remember, have lots of fun.
Wasn't that video awesome? I hope you guys were able to learn the basics of how to draw your own landscape. Now I want you to get a white piece of paper, a pencil, crayons, or even markers, and we're about to draw our own winter landscape. We're going to be drawing trees, snow, the sky, and we're going to be using the same techniques using midground, foreground, and background. Let's get ready. Let's begin. Let's go.
Hey Jack, what are we going to draw today?
A winter landscape.
Yeah, we hope you're going to follow along with us. It's going to be a lot of fun. You need your drawing supplies. We're going to use a marker. You also need?
Some paper and something to color with.
Yeah, we're going to use markers, but we're also using a white acrylic paint and paintbrushes. You don't have to do this step at the very end if you just want to color it. But we're going to show you a really cool trick with the paint to make it look like it's snowing. You ready to start?
Yes.
We're first going to use our markers and we're going to draw our landscape. So let's first draw a moon up here. We're going to draw a big circle, a really big circle. And I'm drawing it a little to the right side of the paper, not right in the middle. Good. Now let's draw our first tree. I'm going to draw it right next to the moon, and we're going to draw a evergreen or a Christmas tree, a pine tree. So I drew an upside down V. Then we're going to draw a little zigzag line at the bottom to connect each side. Then we can draw another layer to our pine tree. We can draw two more diagonal lines coming out. And then let's draw a zigzag line that comes over to the other side. Let's add one more layer to our Christmas, I like calling them Christmas trees, even though this one's out in nature, and so this one's just a pine tree. We just repeated those same steps all the way down. You could even add another layer if you wanted to make it taller, but let's add the trunk. We're going to add two lines right next to each other, coming out of the center, and then we can draw the snow right here connecting the bottom. We drew this tree first because it's the closest one to us, and it's in front of everything else. Now let's draw the rest of our landscape, and we're going to use 3D or overlapping to make it look even cooler. So I'm going to draw another snowy hill back here in the background. We connect to the tree, but we're going to imagine it going behind this tree and coming down. Maybe it slopes down and then comes over here. Cool. Let's draw another tree coming out of the ground over here. So we're going to draw this one a little smaller because it's further away. So it's not going to be as tall. And then we can connect the bottom with the zigzag. We're just repeating the same steps. So this part we could go a little faster. I like repeating the same steps because we get to practice.
Yeah.
And this one, I'm gonna go a little further down so I can reach the snow so I don't have this really long trunk. Then we're gonna add those 2 lines for the bottom of our trunk. Now let's draw another hill going the other direction. I'm gonna start here, maybe connect to the tree, and then we're gonna come over here, connect to this tree. We'll imagine it going behind and then coming up over here and ending on the edge of our paper. Let's add a few more trees. This one I'm gonna draw here. Now, even though it's about the same height up here, we're gonna draw it smaller, and it's gonna connect to this hill right here at the bottom. I'm going a lot faster on this one. Now, if you guys need extra time, what can our friends do?
Pause it.
Yeah, you can pause the video. You could also use that time to add even more trees. I think I'm gonna add one more tree way back here in the distance, right under the moon. So I'm gonna add, maybe this one just comes out and has 2 layers. And you can also make the trunk a little smaller too. I gotta add more. There's not enough Christmas trees. Pine trees.
Pine trees.
There's not enough pine trees in our landscape. Now you could add even more details to your drawing. You could add a cabin, maybe with some smoke coming out of the chimney. You could add little animals. What else could our friends add to this drawing?
You can draw Santa in the sky, like on his sleigh.
Yeah,
With the reindeer.
with the reindeer. That would be really cool. But let's leave it just like this and switch to our coloring markers. We've picked out 2 blues and 2 greens. A dark blue and a light blue, a dark green and a light green. That's gonna keep this lesson nice and simple,
Yeah.
but it's still gonna look really cool. Let's first start with our light blue, and we're gonna put a little highlight around our moon. We're gonna leave the moon white, but we're gonna put a ring around our moon, and it can be a messy highlight too. It can just go around. It's kind of like the moon is shining, kind of like the sun. It gives off light, well, reflective light, right?
Yes.
From the sun is reflecting off the moon, and then that's what makes it so bright. So we can kind of go around it like this. That makes it look really cool. Then we're gonna add dark blue around this. Now let's use this same blue, and we're gonna add a little shading on the snow. Because the moonlight has a blue texture tint to it, we also have that same blue tint on the snow. Now we're ready to switch to our dark blue, and we're gonna color in the sky. This is a really dark blue. So this part we are gonna fast forward. It's gonna take us a little while to go all the way around. We're using white paint to add snowflakes on our drawing after we do this part. But you could also add snowflakes during this step. You could draw little snowflakes like this, and then you don't have to use the paint if you don't want to. But we're gonna color it in and add the snowflakes after. This dark blue is a lot darker than I thought it was going to be. So we're using a medium blue to blend in between the light blue and the dark blue. This is just to make it look more like the shine around the moon is gradual, not as bright. That looks so much better. Look how it looks more like it blends into the sky and it's just shining. Now you can go over the dark blue, and that will pick up on the marker, and you can bring it back in and help blend it in to make it look more smooth and gradual. And I love that our 2 drawings look a little different. They both are turning out awesome. The most important thing is
To have fun.
and to
Practice.
practice. All right, let's keep going. Now we're gonna switch to our green. Let's first do our light green. We're gonna put this out here on the trees that are far away. Just add a little green under each of the layers. This makes it look like there's snow on top of the trees. You know, I totally forgot we didn't get a brown for the trunk.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm gonna add this green over here too. Add green on this one and another layer underneath. That looks really cool. That looks like snow.
Yeah, it does.
Next, let's switch to our dark green, and we're gonna draw on or color in the trees that are closer to us, and also leave in that little bit where the snow has landed on the tree and is still there, stuck on the tree. We're gonna add it on each of the layers. You can even do a little spot. Maybe there's a little piece of tree that sticks through there. And we're gonna do the same thing at the bottom of the tree, all the way across. Let's use our blue marker again, and we're going to, this is the same one we used for the snow. We're going to add a little shadow, a blue shadow at the bottom of the snow that's on the tree. This makes it look a little more 3D and also more like snow.
Yeah.
You can also add a shadow underneath the branches or the layer of the pine tree. So right here underneath the zigzag, you can add another little blue line for the shadow on the snow. Now let's switch to our brown marker. We're going to color in the tree trunk for each of our trees. We did it, Jack. It looks really cool, all colored in. Now the last thing we need to do is add our snowflakes. We're gonna do that with our white acrylic. So let's pour this into, we have a little tray right here. We'll get a little bit of paint in there and we'll paint the snowflakes on our drawing.
Cool.
We really don't need that much. We just have a little drop of paint, a dollop of paint. We're gonna get it on our paintbrush. The reason why we're using acrylic is when we paint over the marker, we just leave a little dot. Look at that. It looks like snowflake.
Yeah.
We have never done one of these. I think it looks so cool. Well, I think in the past we've done a few fall trees where we painted the leaves, but this looks really cool with little white snowflakes falling from the sky. So you can do, when you do this, you can make some of the snowflakes really big. You can make some of them small, not too big, right?
Yeah.
But some of them small, some of them big, and then you want to mix them up. You can even put it on in front of the tree. Now, this is one of the reasons why I wanted to do it with paint, so that we could paint over the tree. It makes it a little tricky if we tried to color the snowflakes with our markers. This allows us to do the snow in front of the tree. We could also do it in front of the moon, like that.
Kind of
It
looks
just
like
looks
stars
so,
a little bit.
It does, but if you put it in front of the snowflakes in front of the tree, that's what'll make it look more like a snowflake instead of stars. The other thing you want to try to remember if you're doing this at home is to wait for the paint. You could, if you're right-handed, start on the left side of your paper and work this way so that you don't smear the paint with your hand.
Yeah.
Let's fast forward this part because it's going to take us a little while to paint all of the snowflakes on, but we'll come back when we're all finished. Jack, we did it! We finished coloring and painting our snowflakes. It looks really cool. Now, just a reminder, we used acrylic paint, and the reason why is the white will show up on top of the markers.
Yeah.
This is also a little secret on how we do some of our highlights. A lot of our art friends will ask us, how do you get the highlights to look so white after you colored with marker?
Yeah.
You can use paint or colored pencils on top of the markers to make it look super white.
We hope you had a lot of fun drawing your winter landscape.
And we'll see you later, art friends. Goodbye.
I hope you enjoyed our last class of 2020. I hope you enjoy your break, that you celebrate the holidays or get together with family and have fun. Mr. B will miss you, but he'll see you again in 2021. Have a good day. Bye.